Daf Yomi Tractate Zevachim, page 13. Just to get started in the context, I'll start by reading the bottom of 12b, where we left off yesterday. The Gemara rejects this as well. What about their common element? It is notable in that they both have an element of karet. A sin offering is brought for a transgression punishable by karet when committed intentionally, and one who refrains intentionally from bringing a paschal offering is liable to be punished with karet, and he's being cut off. A burnt offering does not have an element of karet. So Ben Azai answers. That's the bottom of 12b, and now we are on the top of 13a with the word sad kares lo parech. Sad kares lo parech. Ben Azai does not refute the inference by citing a common element of karet, as elements of karet in a sin offering and in a paschal offering are not parallel. Hashem nami leite. The Gemara asks, if so, let it be derived from this inference that a guilt offering is also disqualified if sacrificed not for its sake. The Gemara answers with regard to a guilt offering. Ben Azai refutes the inference as follows. What is notable about the common element of a sin offering and a paschal offering is notable in that there are communal offerings as well as individual offerings of these types, as well as communal burnt offerings, whereas there is no communal guilt offering. The boy say matzad kares nami parich ubenazai gemara gemira the kamar Rav Huna called the chomer lo amra ela lechaded ba talmida. And if you wish, say instead that actually Ben Azai also refutes the entire inference, because a sin offering and a paschal offering uniquely share an element of karet. And the reason that Ben Azai maintains that a burnt offering sacrificed not for its sake is disqualified is that he learned it as a tradition. And as for the fact that Rav Huna cites an a fortiori inference, he does not believe it to be the true source for Ben Azai's halacha. He said it only to sharpen the minds of his students with it, challenging them to refute it. And that's the end of the Talmud portion. We start now a new Mishnah. The Mishnah says, HaPesach ve'achatas sheshachatan shelo lishman kibel behirech v'zarak shelo lishman o lishman v'shelo lishman o shelo lishman v'lishman psulim. The Mishnah says, with regard to the paschal offering and the sin offering, where one slaughtered them not for their sake, or where he collected their blood in a vessel, conveyed this blood to the altar, or sprinkled this blood on the altar not for their sake, or where he performed one of the sacrificial rites for their sake and not for their sake, or not for their sake and for their sake. In all these cases, the offerings are unfit. Ketzad lishman v'shelo lishman. So the Gemara wants to know, how are these rites performed when you say that they're for their sake and not for their sake? What does that mean? L'shem Pesach, l'shem Shlamim. Shelo lishman lishman, l'shem Shlamim, l'shem Pesach. In the case where one slaughtered the paschal offering for the sake of a paschal offering and for the sake of a peace offering, how are these rites performed not for their sake and for their sake? In the case where one slaughtered the paschal offering for the sake of a peace offering and for the sake of a paschal offering. So it's both. In the case where one slaughtered the Paschal offering, for the sake of the Paschal offering and for the sake of the peace offering, or I just switch the order. If you have in mind for both of these things, then it's for its sake and not for its sake. שהזבח נפסל בארבע דברים, בשחיטה וקיבר והילוך ובזריקה. The offering is unfit because a slaughtered offering is disqualified due to prohibited intent in 4 matters: in the performance of the sacrificial rites of slaughtering the animal, in collecting the blood, in conveying the blood, and in sprinkling the blood. Rabbi Shimon machshir behiluch, שהיה אומר אי אפשר שלא בשחיטה ושלא בקבלה ושלא בזריקה, אבל אפשר בלא הילוך, שוחט בצד מזבח וזוירק. Rabbi Shimon deems the offering fit if the prohibited intent was during the rite of conveying the blood. As he would say, it is impossible to sacrifice an offering without slaughtering the animal, or without collection of the blood, or without sprinkling the blood. But it is possible to sacrifice an offering without conveying the blood on the altar. How so? If one slaughters the animal alongside the altar and sprinkles the blood does not need to be conveyed. Therefore, the rite of conveying the blood is not significant enough to cause the offering to be disqualified due to prohibited intent while performing it. Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Elazar, Omer, המהלך במקום שהוא צריך להלך, מחשבת פסלת, במקום שאין צריך להלך, אין מחשב בסלס. Rabbi Eliezer says, with regard to one who conveys the blood in a situation where he is required to convey a prohibited intent while conveying it disqualifies the offering. If he conveys the blood in a situation where he is not required to convey it, prohibited intent while conveying it does not disqualify the offering. That's the Mishnah. Now we start the Gemara. The Gemara asks, well, first, the Mishnah teaches that a slaughtered offering is disqualified due to prohibited intent while performing the 4 rites, including collection of the blood. The Gemara asks, and does collection of the blood with prohibited intent disqualify the offering? Ve'atanya, ve'hikrivu, zo kabbalat adam, ata omer, kabbalat adam, ve'eno ela zrika, כשהוא אומר וזרקו, הרי זריקה אמור, מה אני מקיים והקריבו, זו קבלת אדם. פני אהרון הכהנים, שתהא בכהן כשר וכלי שרס. But isn't it taught in a Brayta? The verse states, and the sons of Aaron, the priests, shall present the blood, Leviticus 1:5. This is referring to collection of the blood. Do you say it is referring to collection of the blood, or is it referring to only sprinkling the blood? When it states immediately afterward, and sprinkle the blood round about against the altar, sprinkling the blood is thereby stated. If so, how do I realize the meaning of, and the sons of Aaron, the priests, shall present? This is referring to collection of the blood. And the phrase, the sons of Aaron, the priests, teaches that collection of the blood must be performed by a fit priest, meaning one who has no blemish and who was not disqualified due to flawed lineage, and that he must do so while he is wearing priestly service vestments. Okay. Amar Rabbi Akiva, Minayin lekabala shelotei, el bechol kasher uchli shares. Nevar kam bnei Aharon, ונאמר להלן אלה שמות בני אהרון הכהנים המשוחים מעליין בכהן כשר ובכלי שרס אף כאן בכהן כשר ובכלי שרס. Okay? The Braita continues. Rabbi Akiva said, from where is it derived? That collection of the blood may be performed only by a fit priest, and while he is wearing service vestments. The expression sons of Aaron is stated here in the verse in Leviticus, and it is stated there. These are the names of the sons of Aaron, the priests that were anointed, whom he consecrated to minister in the priest's office. Numbers chapter 3, verse 3. Just as there in the verse in Numbers it mentions the word priests, with regard to fit priests, meaning Aaron's sons, and with regard to priests who were consecrated to serve by being dressed with service vestments, see Exodus 29:30. So to here, the reference is to a fit priest, and with regard to one who was wearing service vestments. Okay. Amar Rabbi Tarfon. Can't remember the last time we had Rabbi Tarfon. I haven't had him for a while. Amar Rabbi Tarfon. Rabbi Tarfon said, Akapech es banai. I think he said this in Tractate Shabbat. Akapech es banai. Im lo shemati להבחין הפרש בין קבלה לזריקו. ואין לי לפרש. Rabbi Tarfon said, I will bury my sons. This is what I'm talking about. Remember I mentioned like every once in a while there's like some strange, like off the wall, I'm not saying off the wall, but like some strange, unusual, like a bizarre thing that doesn't really fit into the regular flow of Talmud. This is one of them. I will bury my sons if I did not hear a halacha from my teacher discerning a distinction between collection of and sprinkling the blood. But I cannot explicate the distinction, as I do not remember what it was. Means he for sure heard it, and he's willing to bury his sons if he didn't hear it, then he just can't remember it. But why would he put his sons on the line? I don't get that one. It's a question. Anyway, let's continue. Amar Rabbi Akiva, ani afaresh kapala lo asaba machshava k'maaseh zrika asaba machshava k'maaseh קיבלו בחוץ, אינו בחייב כרס, זרקו בחוץ, אנוש כרת. קיבלו בסולין, לנחיו ונעלו, זרקו בסולין, לנחיו ונעלו. The Braita continues that Rabbi Akiva said, I will explicate. With regard to collection, the Torah does not render intent like action. Collecting the blood with prohibited intent does not disqualify the offering, but with regard to sprinkling, the Torah does render intent like action. Furthermore, if one collected the blood outside the temple, he is not liable to be punished with karet. But if one sprinkled the blood outside the temple, he is punished with karet. Moreover, if those who are unfit for the temple service collected the blood, they are not liable for that action. But if those who are unfit for the temple service sprinkled the blood, they are liable to receive the penalty of death at the hand of heaven for that action. Amar Rabbi Tarfon, 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 Amar Rabbi Tarfon. Amar lo Rabbi Tarfon. Avoid the imitation ימין ושמאל אני שמעתי ואין לי פרש. אתה דורש ומסכים לשמוע, בלשון הזה אמר לו עקיבא, כל הפרש ממך כפרש מחי. I've heard that one too. Rabbi Tarfon said to him excitedly, I take an oath by the temple service that you have not deviated left or right from what I've heard from my teachers. I myself heard them, and I cannot explicate what they taught. Whereas you teach this halacha on your own in concurrence with the halacha that I heard. So Rabbi Tarfon's sons are safe. But still, did he have to really bring his sons into it? Okay, you heard it correctly, but did he have to say that he'd bury his sons? I mean, why did he do that, Okay, anyway, he says to Rabbi Akiva, using this like, Akiva, anyone who leaves you is like one who leaves his life. In any event, Rabbi Akiva's statement in the Braita apparently contradicts the Mishnah with regard to the matter of whether the collection of the blood with prohibited intent disqualifies the offering. Rava said it is not difficult. The Braita here is referring to intent of pigul, meaning the intent to consume or burn the offering after its appointed time. The Mishnah there is referring to intent not for the sake of the offering. Gemara adds the language of the Mishnah is also precise, as it teaches that a slaughtered offering is disqualified in this manner, and it does not teach that an offering is rendered pigul in this manner. Apparently, the Mishnah is referring to intent that merely disqualifies the offering without rendering it pigul, one who partakes of which is liable to receive payment. The Gemara concludes from the Mishnah's language that this interpretation is correct. Gemara asks, and does intent of pigul during the collection of the blood not disqualify the offering? Tanya, we learned, isn't it taught in Braita? Yachol lo yitehem achshav mo'enes ela v'srig le'va benayin l'rabba shchit v'gabala tomen loymar v'hei ochel yochel v'sal zevach shlama pigul hu v'yom hashlishi lo yotze b'devarim ha'mevin yidei achi le'akos b'nayin. But isn't it taught in Braita? One might have thought that intent to consume an offering after its designated time is effective to render the offering pigul only when one has that intent during sprinkling. From where is it derived to include slaughter and collection of the blood in this malacheh? The verse states, and if any of the flesh of the sacrifice of this peace offering is all eaten on the third day, it shall not be accepted. Neither shall it be imputed to the one who offers it. It shall be an abhorred thing. Pigul. Leviticus 7:18. As derived on 29a, the verse is referring to performance of the sacrificial rites with intent to consume the offering after its designated time. The phrase "it is at all eaten" teaches that the verse speaks of matters that lead to consumption, meaning those sacrificial rites that enable consumption of the offering, including slaughter of the animal and collecting the blood. The Braita continues, one might have thought that I should include even the pouring of the remainder of the blood on the base of the altar after its sprinkling, and the burning of the sacrificial portions of the altar on the altar. Talmud Loma b'yom shlishi lo yotze, hamakriv oto lo yechashet. Srika בכלל הייתה ולמה יצאתה להקיש אליה לא מלאכה מה סריקה מיוחדת שיהיה בוידה במחברס ובהכבש כפרה אף כל הבוידה ובהכבש כפרה יצאו שיריים והקטורס עם אמורין שאין מעכבין את הכפרה. Therefore, the verse states, on the third day, it shall not be accepted, neither shall it be imputed to the one who offers it. Leviticus 7:18. The phrase, the one who offers it, indicates the sprinkling of the blood. Sprinkling was included in the general category of rites that enable consumption. And for what purpose was it singled out to compare other halachot to it, meaning to say to you, just as sprinkling is unique, as it is a rite, and if not performed, it prevents atonement. So too, any rite that prevents atonement is not performed. If not performed, is included in the halacha of pigul. Pouring the remainder of the blood and burning the sacrificial portions are therefore excluded, as they do not prevent atonement if not performed. Evidently, intent of pigul applies to the collection of the blood, contrary to Rabbi's resolution of the contradiction between the Mishnah and the Braita. This concludes 13a. Hashem will continue 13b in the next video.